The government will act if companies repeatedly take public grants for AI and growth while treating workers unfairly, says Minister of State for Digital Development and Information, Jasmin Lau, as Singapore prepares for an AI-driven economy. In an interview with CNA, she says young graduates should focus less on safe careers and more on skills that technology cannot easily replace.
As Singapore pushes to become a global AI powerhouse, businesses are increasingly turning to artificial intelligence to boost productivity and redesign jobs. But questions remain over whether workers will fairly share in the gains and how young Singaporeans can build careers in an AI-driven economy.
If AI does allow firms to cut costs, what stops them from actually just doing that? And at what point does the government need to step in to make sure that the worker isn't being unfairly impacted?
When we spend public resources to help companies grow, then we want to have a bit more controls over what the companies do. I think some people may hear that as, oh, you're going to set rules in terms of how much profit gets shared. No, we are just trying to make sure that if a company uses public resources to grow, then there has to be some responsibility back on the employer's part to share the gains. But what we are looking for are patterns. If a company is constantly applying for and given grants, but workers are being removed without fair treatment, then when we start to see these patterns, we must act, because these are public funds that we are stewards of. Nothing stops a company from making business decisions like cutting costs. The short-term desire to cut costs may end up affecting them later on when their company needs to think about further growth, and perhaps they're looking now for staff who understand the business, the domain, understand the business culture. They will not have such people anymore as their company tries to scale.
The Economic Strategy Review recommended making Singapore an AI powerhouse by attracting the top companies, researchers and investors. But for young Singaporeans now that they are entering the workforce, that ambition can sound both exciting but also unsettling to them. So how should they think about building a career when some of the roles they train for are already being reshaped by AI?
At this point, nobody can tell fully which jobs would be around in the next 5-10 years. But we are still very clear what capabilities are still needed in 5 to 10 years. And so my advice to many of them is think about the capabilities that you need to build, not the career that you may want to go into, because the careers and the job journeys may change. But there are some capabilities that you would always need. The ability to communicate, make good judgments. These things, no matter which domain you go into, what job roles you go into, these things are unlikely to be replaced by technology. I don't think all employers are expecting graduates to be able to design and build their own agents. But I think many employers would hope that graduates at least can do writing, research, provide and present well-written reports with the help of AI. So I think there is some basic literacy that's necessary.
But one could argue that those mundane tasks sometimes are the training ground, for junior staff to actually learn before they can progress on to making those judgment calls. How do companies even begin training if these roles are being taken over by AI?
Well, I think there's some nuance there. I don't agree that they have to go through 1,000 manual documents like in the past in order to reach the same level of judgment capability that we want them to get to. That part I don't agree. I also don't really agree that when people say you have to learn everything manually, otherwise you can't be a good professional in future. No, in fact, I think we could have an ecosystem where we have a lot more experienced professionals and they reach that stage much earlier on in life. Work should feel more purposeful than in the past. Work should pay fair wages. And when I say fair, they must be able to look at the company. If the company is growing very strongly, making significant profits, the workers must feel that they have some share of it, and it shouldn't feel like such a dissonance between what the company is reporting in profits and what their annual increments are like.
I think recently we saw lots of instances online where people come and give speeches, right, about
the graduation speeches.
Exactly, right, and then students, they really throw up their hands. I'm wondering if there is a difference in the reaction in Singapore and overseas, and why that might be.
Many of our Singaporeans understand it's not really a binary choice. You can't, as a small country, say, I don't want it. I choose not to be a part of it. It's hard because there are some practical realities to what the future environment will look like. And Singapore is not a huge controller of global forces. We are often trying our best to make ourselves relevant. And so the psyche is more, how can I be a part of what's good? What can I do individually and in my organizations to help, to contribute, and to be in the best position possible in future? I think it will be significant when we are able to talk about the first new waves of jobs created because of the AI industry. When that starts to appear, we start to see people in the AI assurance space, cybersecurity, we are starting to see a lot of job growth there. I think when more and more people start to realize the tangible benefits, then the talk and the discussion will change.
How soon do you think this will come for Singapore?
You already see some pockets of growth. And I think what we need is to see a bigger spread of the jobs that are available. And then people will see, oh, even in my domain, seems like there's something AI can do. And it's not always just at a HQ level, because every single department and specialty needs a different usage of AI. So you're starting to see actual roles being created. It's a transition phase, and while you have people who want answers, the answers are not clear. But I think the duration of that space is also unclear. We, of course, hope that our people do what's within their control, pick up the skills, learn something, don't fear the technology, try it out. We're hoping that some action takes away a bit of the anxiety while we continue to draw in the investments and ensure that the jobs start to emerge.
If Singapore gets this right and becomes an AI powerhouse, while protecting workers, what could the future career of young Singaporeans look like, and what are some jobs that we can possibly even be excited about?
I think it would be much easier for our graduates in future to move across domains. Because they will pick up experience faster in a role that they go into. They will be able to talk about their job experiences in a much more tangible and complex way. Today, if a young new graduate goes home, talks to his parents about what they do at work, they may feel that I'm only doing this small part. I may not even know what's this full value chain I'm in. But in future, when they talk about their roles, it would be fuller. I think employers may also feel less worried if they are taking in employees from other sectors because knowledge can be picked up.
Beyond jobs, maybe what worries some of them is the bigger social shift.
Yeah.
Whether their knowledge, their perspectives will still be valued, or maybe whether more broadly, whether truth will be harder to establish in the world of like generative AI, right? So, what is your message to the young people who may be concerned about such things?
I do worry that more and more of our people start to think that I have to become some AI expert. You don't. There are a lot of jobs that I think in the past we tend to not think so much of. People who do patient experience work, social workers who talk with an elderly until the elderly agrees for his or her home to be decluttered. All those cannot be replaced by AI. So I think over time, the value we put on these jobs will also change. Maybe in the past, we see these as jobs that don't pay that well, or that it's challenging to do because it requires the human conversations. In future, we may price these very, very differently because they are precisely the things that AI cannot do.
Over 2,000 retailers in Singapore will get an AI boost to tackle challenges like rising operational costs and shorter product launch cycles. An updated guide will help them identify tools to use, from optimizing inventories to digital training resources. The refreshed guide is launched by Enterprise Singapore and the Infocomm Media Development Authority with double the number of solutions. More than half are AI tools, including support for customer engagement and predictive analytics to forecast demand.
These priorities point to where we must focus our efforts together, because Singapore's economic future depends on our ability to help our businesses, especially our SMEs, adopt the tools of tomorrow. we must also create the right conditions for bold, new ideas to take root and to grow. This is especially important as AI advances rapidly and redefines how businesses operate, compete, and serve customers.
We are looking at where the trends for AI are going beyond generative AI, Gen AI today. You have some agentic AI solutions that are actually coming up on the market, potentially even embodied AI. You see some of that in robots, right, that are actually in the market, but we are keeping a close watch and we're monitoring to see whether there are advanced solutions that we feel would be suitable to the retail sector.
And amid churn in the retail landscape, Ivy Chok speaks to retailers to see how they're adopting AI and staying competitive.
This floral company used to rent out physical locations to stage photo shoots of products that you see on its website. But now, AI does the job.
Now, with Gen AI, what we do is that we take photo against a white backdrop, and then we tell the AI, okay, I want this photo to have a look in bit different backdrops. Yeah, so that's probably saved more than 50% of time, and that dramatically cut down our costs.
Feist Flora is also using AI to improve customer service and online marketing, with more use cases in time.
There's AI demand forecasting. There's how you can further optimize your promotions. There's training that we could probably make it more interesting. We're pretty excited about the use of AI.
Besides helping companies become more efficient, authorities are also giving future entrepreneurs a leg up. Under a new 2-year program, Scape will subsidize rents for 16 local brands, so they can have a physical space to test new concepts, access workshops, and other facilities. One firm tapping this program is local streetwear brand Koyoyu Studio, which used to focus only on e-commerce.
It was a good launching pad for us to even start into getting into retail, given that all of us were still in university, don't have that much cash on us yet, and we're looking to start something new and something fresh.
To stand out from its competitors, the firm is also looking to give customers more reason to visit the physical shopfront.
Something that we really like to do is guerrilla style like marketing, out of the norm like events. We like to throw like DJ activation events, and even now we're planning something maybe around like mid-June to do something that is like a rooftop party, clothing. It is an interesting concept.
Enterprise Singapore says it will work with retailers to grow sales. It's also on the lookout for more such spaces across Singapore to champion local brands.
And for an expert's view on AI in the retail industry, we're speaking next to Vivek Sharma, who is a consumer industry leader at Deloitte Southeast Asia. Now, Vivek, good to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we know that physical retail is already facing a lot of pressure from online sales channels. So how can AI turn things around?
Yeah, so fundamentally, I think with AI, the role of both physical and online retail is actually getting redefined a bit. So if you see today, AI and data are actually impacting the entire customer journey, right from discovery to purchase to evaluation to customer service, loyalty. So it's an end-to-end impact on the customer journey. That's on one hand. On the other hand, there's also a big impact on the entire value chain of the retailers, right? Which means in-store experiences, online apps, inventory optimization. Some of them are also into the house brands. So optimizing, how do you optimize the manufacturing? So end-to-end customer journey as well as the entire value chain for any retailer across the globe. And if you look at a lot of global retailers, as well as some of the retailers in Singapore, they are using AI for hyper-personalized product, pricing, promotion, assortment, and experiences across both physical as well as the online retail. Now, I want to just give an example of what does hyper-personalization mean. So a few years ago, personalization was limited to, you bought this and people like you also bought that, right? Today, if you look at how it has evolved, today a lot of these AI tools actually can understand the customer's intent They can understand customers' price sensitivity. They can even understand the style differentiation, etc. And that makes a huge difference, a big difference. So if you and I go to the same store or the same app, both of us could see a different homepage, different offer, and different sort of the automated cart as well, personalized basket as well.
Capabilities as well. There's a lot of concern about job displacement. And how do you think, especially for the non-front-facing roles, do you think we can expect more job losses?
So the way I term it is a new ecosystem is evolving, right? And in the new ecosystem, both the retailers and customers tend to gain a lot because you are using AI for higher convenience, you are using AI for more personalization, you are using AI for more effective engagement with the employees as well as with the customers. But nothing can replace a human-centric experience in the longer run. There are already a lot of large retailers are sensitive to the fact that people buy some brands for emotional loyalty, not because of a better algorithm. A similar thing goes for some of the back office functions as well. So the way I'll say it is going to be a very good balance between the human-centric experiences and activities along with the AI. And that balance means you'll have more AI-powered employees who will then add to higher productivity, convenience. You'll see less of stock-out situation. You will see much better inventory planning. You will see much better customer experience across both physical as well as the digital retail.
Now, despite these benefits, we're also hearing of some customer backlash against the use of AI in these shops. So what do you think could the cost of AI be, especially apart from the savings that we get from all these benefits?
As I said, right, there are many examples where actually the workers itself are much happier using these tools because you are now actually doing more with less. There are a number of examples there. So I think it's about how the organization is trying to repurpose some of their existing staff to better leverage AI for their own productivity, for their own efficiency, as well as to better serve the customer, right? And as I said earlier, right, there's no replacement. Everything cannot be automated, right? Because sometimes if you have too much of AI, it could become a black box as well. And that also poses some of the operational risk as well as, brand risk for you.
Yeah, so striking that balance, as you say, is very important.
Absolutely.
Vivek, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I've been speaking to Vivek Sharma from Deloitte Southeast Asia.